Hey everybody, this is Dan,
And this is Ron.
and this is Anomini, Questionable Movies.
Yes, the nominee questionable movies. And look, we both pronounced it correctly, but you've never had an issue with pronouncing it. I'm the one that has a hard time pronouncing long words.
Oh yeah, well, when I'm not on the show, I'm just kind of like mumbling to myself like a crazy person, and if you get close enough to me and you can hear what I'm actually saying, I'm just going, Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Sally sells seashells by the seashore.
Ad nauseum.
Ad nauseum. Well, it's not really a trick unless you can do it 5 times quickly.
Oh, and you only did it four. Oh, and it wasn't fast. It was slow. It was at a moderate pace.
Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Sally sells seashells. But yeah. The faster you go, the more likely you're going to get into an accident.
So the difference is that normally you mumble to yourself like a crazy person, but when you're on here or there's other people around, you speak out loud like a crazy person.
Right, and it's
So at least it's the same you. The you doesn't change. It's just the way you let the same words flow out.
it takes a lot of work. You gotta test things in both capacities before bringing the finished product to you, the public. Um,
Okay, so you watched a movie last night. You and Elizabeth, the perennial podcast, watched.
so Elizabeth and I watched Play It Again, Sam, which, for those who have never seen it, is a 1972 movie starring Woody Allen, but not directed by Woody Allen. You can tell because for some reason Woody Allen is living in San Francisco.
Whoa.
Yeah. You never noticed that? Did you ever
Well,
see
I mean,
that
I,
movie?
I saw it a long time ago. I just can't imagine a Woody Allen movie being set anywhere outside of New York, but I guess it's
It's
not a
the
Woody
only
Allen
one
movie.
of the early movies. I mean, well, I guess like Love and Death is set in Russia, and
Yeah, okay.
Beneath is set in like some kind of bizarro world version of Cuba, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, and I guess Sleeper's in the future, so I don't know what geographic location in the future they end up in,
I don't remember.
but everything else, yeah, like and anything where it has kind of that realistic tone, like Play It Again, Sam sort of has, is usually said in New York. But anyway, so you get to see Woody Allen walking up and down a lot of very steep hills for whatever reason. It was directed by oh god, like some guy from the studio. I forget who it was, but it wasn't Woody Allen. It was Woody Allen just wrote the screenplay based on a stage play that he had produced, and it's the first film that where he worked with Diane Keaton.
Oh, really?
I believe it's the first film that Diane Keaton was ever in, but I could be wrong on that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, she certainly looks like, I mean, she's so young looking in that movie. Um,
So what's the big deal of
so the actual big deal is, well, we're going to have to backtrack a little bit to get to the big deal. So, as everybody knows, I like thrifting, perhaps a bit too much. I like wandering around, going on treasure hunts. And one particularly bountiful treasure hunt. If yeah, I'm just going to go with the pirate language. About a year ago, I found this bizarre looking poster at the local thrift store. It had been there for 5 weeks. I had no idea really what it was. It said, what does it say on it? I have it in front of me now for reference. It says Universal Electronic Vacuum 1967. There's a reference to a date from 1967, and there's a bunch of digitized looking Mickey Mouses and
Oh,
other
okay.
kinds of like early computer printout looking stuff, but painted over in bright garish colors with like a pop art kind of feel. And so they marked the thing down to like I think $40. It was in shrink wrap. I kind of figured like if this thing's legit from 1967 and it's a pop art poster, like $45 is a pretty, yeah, what the hell? I'll gamble $45 that this thing's worth something. So
because you often get stuff for like 3 for $5 or free on the street.
yeah, I mean, it depends on like what the thing is, or you can trade up. Like trading up is a great if you can make connections with other collectors that want things that you find a lot but don't actually want.
Mm-hmm.
Trade materials always useful. So I get home, I start researching this thing, and it seems to be, or at least like I can't seem to find anything on it except there's a reference in the catalog of the MoMA Museum and the Tate Museum that they have copies. They have pictures of the copies. It's very clearly the same poster, but both of theirs say that it's signed with a limitation by the artist.
Okay.
Mine is not signed.
Okay.
So it's kind of an enigma. I'm like nervous about taking off the shrink wrap because like it literally never occurred to me until yesterday that the shrink wrap might have been put on by a reseller later down the line.
Oh, okay.
I thought it because it just looks like something I would have seen in the gift shop at, when I went to the MoMA or something when I was in college.
Right.
So I just sort of figured that was how those things were packaged. And and so we're watching Play It Again okay, so to finish the poster story, I guess, for that point, I find these two listings. I'm like, okay, this thing must be incredibly rare. I do a little bit more research into the artist. The artist is a Scottish artist named Eduardo Paolozzi, who's considered like the godfather of pop art because he was doing kind of, I mean, a bit more like on the Lichtenstein side of things, maybe than the Warhol side of things, but he was doing it before Warhol or Lichtenstein were doing it.
Okay.
And there's definitely there's Warhol vibes to the poster. I'm showing Ron the poster over Zoom, but the repeated Mickey Mouses with different coloration is pretty Warhol-y.
That's actually, wait, let's see. I'm looking at it and it's Mickey Mouse, then Minnie Mouse. The second one is actually Minnie Mouse.
Oh, okay.
The third one, the bow is in reversed colors, and the fourth one, I can't tell because it starts to get really splotchy. Anyways, that's neither here nor there.
We're watching Play It Again, Sam, and I pause the movie and I'm like, because the poster also felt weirdly familiar to me when I found it. And then, I did this internet search for it. I only find 2 results. And I'm like, okay, this has to be like false memory triggering or something. Like I'm just remembering something else that must have been the Mandela effect, right? And so we're watching Play It Again, Sam last night, which is a movie I probably saw 8 to 10 times when I was a teenager. And sure enough, right in Woody Allen's apartment in that movie, prominently displayed probably 5 to 20 minutes worth of an hour and a half movie is this exact Eduardo Paolozzi poster.
Nice.
And I was like, whoa, that's so crazy. And so that made me want to figure out what the hell this thing actually was.
Okay.
Because I couldn't figure out, because I was like, it doesn't seem like it would be a counterfeit, because it doesn't seem like the kind of thing that would be worth enough to counterfeit. Because like the original screen prints, the limitation of 75 usually go for 1,000 to 3,000, which not chump change, not worth going through all the effort of making convincing counterfeits of things.
Okay.
And so eventually that leads me down this rabbit hole of figuring out that it was actually bought. So museums didn't used to offer posters of things that they had on exhibit until like the mid to late 1960s. And in the mid to late 1960s, there was only one store that did it, and it was called what is it? Original Print or Poster Originals Limited.
Posters Originals Limited. Okay.
Which I found on the bottom right-hand corner. And it turns out, yeah, this was it's the same size as the original piece, except for the white border where the limitation and everything was written has been trimmed. High quality, legally licensed, would have only been sold in this retail store in New York that was run by the woman who owned the Village Vanguard Jazz Club.
Hmm.
I thought was kind of cool. And it was the first ever place where they sold high quality licensed reproduction art posters, basically. Unfortunately, that means that the thing is worth a lot less money than I thought it was initially.
Oh.
But I think the little bit, I still got a good deal. The valuation that I would have come to now. I mean, if it was the original thing with the limitation, I would guess it's between like 1,000 to 2,000.
Okay.
This copy is probably worth like 150 to $200, depending on where you were able to get it up at auction.
Oh, okay. That's still a
Pretty nice, you know. They're not making any more of them, and you know, it fits the aesthetic of the apartment. You know, it goes with anyone who's been a guest on the show has probably seen the inside of that Velvet Underground record I have on my wall. That's the Warhol with the lips giving a blowjob to a Coca-Cola bottle.
kissing, gently kissing.
Yeah, and that's the inside gatefold of the like European release. Like, I forget the exact name of the record, but it's basically like Velvet Underground greatest hits or something. And there's like a whole series of panels. But yeah, so that was a fun mystery, and it turns out that I had actually seen the poster somewhere before.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And also, I've been watching all these like creepy pasta, like people tracking down missing persons on the internet type videos on YouTube for the last week, because it's just like a good break from depressing political news. And yeah, so I get to solve my own little internet mystery.
Yeah, that's really cool.